Okay, so this is my completed robot, and it's in a couple different pieces. Basically, I got the top, and then the legs are actually separate objects. If we were going to be animating this, you'd probably want the arms and the legs and the torso to be separate pieces, but we're likely not going to have time to animate this, at least not directed by me. I mean, if you wanted to learn how to do it, that's up to you. So I just wanted to point out one thing. This is my camera up here. So if I press 0, that's going to show the camera view. And I've actually moved the camera around a bit. Okay, so you can... Let me show you one thing. If I go up here to this little plus, I can drag out a new... Oh, hang on. These little the hatching marks. If I go up to there, I get a plus symbol, and I can actually make a new viewport. Okay, so I'm going to make two more viewports. Just close down those side parts. And now I can set this one up to camera view. This one can be, you know, whatever view I want. Maybe front view. And then this one here, I can leave this as perspective. So if I'm going to move the camera, you can see in my bottom right window, you can see where the camera is going to be moving. Okay, the reason why I'm spending time showing you what the camera does is because you can't even see your textures when you're just in the modeling screen. You can only see textures when you hit F12, and that will render what the camera sees. Now in my case, I don't have any textures yet, so we'll have to add those in still. Okay, but even without textures, it looks kind of cool. I got some pretty dramatic lighting there. So I'll just hit escape to get out of that. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to set materials. Materials are just colors or different ways that the model can interact with light, and that's all based in Blender. That's not bringing in any external texture files or anything. So you can set a material to an entire object, but in my case, I probably want to set it to certain faces within this object. So to do that, I'm going to go to Edit Mode. And say, for instance, I've got a bit of a cockpit here. And I want to set that to be a different color. Okay, actually, on second thought, I'm going to set the whole thing to be one color, then I'm going to change the smaller sections after. Okay, so the material tab is found on the right-hand side, and it's right beside the checkerboard one. Looks kind of like a circle, pinwheel type thing. Okay, and I've selected this. It says Cube 2. That's what this is called. So I'm going to click Assign a New Material, or Add a New Material, rather. And I can rename this. Maybe I'll call this, metal. And from here, I can choose my color. So if I want it to be like a blue mech, I can change my color there, or green, or whatever. I want it like a gunmetal color. How about that? Okay, you can also change the intensity, and you get a preview right here, which is kind of nice. You can see that preview on various shapes. Okay, and then the shader model will also kind of change the look of the texture. Okay, Lambert's usually fine, but you guys can play around with that. Okay, Specular is how bright the reflection is. So If you bring up the specular, you can see on the monkey head, if I bring it all the way down, there's no reflection. If I bring it all the way up, there's an intense reflection. Okay, so how shiny do you want your material to be? And again, there's different shader models you can play around with. They might give you different results. And you can also change the color of light it reflects. For my case, I'm just going to leave it as white. Okay, if you wanted to, you can also make it emit. Okay, emit means that it actually produces light. So if you want to have some kind of glowing part of your robot, maybe the eyes, you want them to glow, then you can increase the emit value. I'm just going to leave that 0 for now. And we can also set transparency. So if you check that off, you can set your alpha. Alpha is the transparency. So for instance, if you had a windshield that you wanted to make slightly transparent, you could do that. I don't want to set my entire robot transparent because it'll look kind of silly. Okay, we can also set the material to be a mirror. So a mirror would reflect the surroundings. Now, unless you actually have a background, mirror's not going to really do a lot for you. Okay, my robot's just standing on a big empty plane. There's no trees or nothing around them, so you're not going to see any reflections really, but feel free to play with that too. Okay, and there's a couple other things here you can play with. So, you know, for shadow, for instance, this thing receives shadows and casts shadows. If you're modeling a vampire, maybe you wouldn't want it to cast shadows. Is that a vampire thing? I think so. Okay, anyhow, once I'm happy with that, then I click Assign. It's not going to put it on my guy without hitting Assign. And then let's hit F12. Okay, so now you can see it's a nice kind of blue color. Now I don't have a lot of lighting, so I'm not getting lots of reflectivity or anything. But there you go. Now I can press, I'm still in edit mode, I can press A to deselect everything. And now I'm just going to select the cockpit area. Okay, so let's say this is the area that the pilot looks out of, because I did design a mech. Or maybe this is the robot's eye, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to have to add a new material. So what I want to do is click on this little plus. That will add a new material slot. And I can click on New. Again, the basic is just white Lambert, so I've just assigned that right away. So you can see now the cockpit is gray. But just for fun, let's try to make that a bit of an emitter. Okay, so I've got kind of a glowing red cockpit now. Okay, so that's how you use materials. You can set any face to any color you want. So if you wanted to set a bit of a design, like maybe just color these two a different color, you could do that. One problem that I kind of ran into here is that as I was modeling this, these guns became part of the main model. So what I can do to color that is press A to deselect everything within edit mode. Then there is a button down here that says limit selection to visible. If I click that, you'll see that you can kind of see the wireframe behind. That means that I can select the faces behind what I see. So if I deselect that, I can use the box select, so press B, and now I can click and drag to select this. Okay? Selecting individual faces would take a long, long time, so I wouldn't really recommend doing that in this case. Okay, then maybe I want to add a new material. I'll call this maybe gun black. Okay, so now you can see that my guns are a nice black color now. Okay, so you can probably do, for your robot, most of the stuff you can do, or you want to do, will be with materials. If you did want to add a metal texture, I will show you that right now. Okay, we're back. So I'm just going to show you how to quickly add a metal texture or whatever kind of texture you want. So something like this would probably be good. I don't want anything too fancy. I guess you want something fairly high resolution. Maybe this will be kind of interesting. Okay, I'll go with this one. The other one wasn't loading. This one has a bit of a watermark, which kind of sucks, but I'm just going to use it anyways because I'm running out of time. So you first have to save your texture somewhere on your computer. So desktop works fine. And then let's say for the gun, I'll add a texture. So I have my material highlighted here. I go next door to the checkerboard, which is actually the texture panel. So you can see it's Cube 2, which is the name of my mech, the top of the mech, and then Gun Black, which is the name of the material. So I'm actually assigning a texture to the material. So I say New, and the type of texture, I'm going to say Image or Movie. Okay, and then I'm going to say Open down here, and I saved it on desktop, I believe. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I don't know how that looks right now. You can kind of see it a bit, but you can play around with this. The main thing that you're going to look at, well, you can look at how it looks on the material. The projection, you can change the projection to spherical or cube. This is a tube, so I'm going to make that a tube projection, I think. Or maybe flat looks better, I don't know. Okay, and right now, the only influence it has is color. So that's why I'm getting the color of the image. Now, just for fun, I'm going to show you guys one more quick thing. Let's just uncheck that texture. I'm going to add a new texture channel. And I'm going to pick, let's pick clouds. So texture can actually impact the shape or geometry of an object. So I'm going to uncheck influence for color here and check geometry. So let's see if we can notice a difference. So I'm going to, 1 is the default, I'm going to bring that up. And you might see that the gun is a little bit warped now. Okay, and we're out of time.